Hello, I'm Dennis Pullin. One of my favorite parts about being president and CEO of Virtua Health is getting to know our colleagues and the many ways they are here for good. Each person contributes to healthy communities, and each person has a story to tell. Let's meet one. Rob, welcome to Here for Good.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't we get started by you telling me a little bit about your role as Director of Plant Operations.
I've been with Virtua for 15 years. I started right when the hospital opened at Voorhees, doing security for about a year and a half. Got to really know the building, walking around every day, getting to know the staff, the directors. When our foreman retired, I stepped into that role. I was able to keep doing what I was doing, rounding floors, talking to all the staff.
You knew the organization and knew it well.
Exactly, yeah. So, I kept doing what I was doing, working more with management, vendors, stuff like that. I became director when the opportunity presented itself, and I love it.
And haven't looked back.
Haven't looked back.
How did you get this title of Mr. Virtua at Voorhees? I've heard that mentioned several times. I think maybe I was walking with you in the hospital one day and I heard somebody say it. So where'd that come from?
Every day, when I'm not on my computer, I'm walking around, I'm checking in with all the units, the directors, stop and talk to the secretaries, say hi to the nurses. It's just something I've always done, and I think that helps me, keep control over things. When I have that connection, people can reach out to me directly with any problems.
I think it's a good title for you to have. After 15 years at Virtua, what is it that you still enjoy the most?
I think it's the people. I get asked all the time about job opportunities at Virtua, and they always ask for, what are they looking for? And I think the biggest thing Virtua looks for is good people. You could have all the qualifications in the world, but they want good people working here in this organization.
Voorhees hosts a lot of special events, Run with the Docs, NICU Reunion, the toy drives. What does those particular events mean to you, and more importantly, to your team?
Seeing all of these events come together, the toy drive has been great. The NICU Reunion, we do that every 2 years. And while I don't have to be there, I can have my team do it. I love seeing these interactions with these families that come back because, so many babies go through the NICU, but our nurses remember every one of them.
Tell me about the work you do with Catholic Charities.
Back after Katrina hit, New Orleans got hit really hard. So I went down 3 separate times to help gut and rebuild. We stayed in an abandoned school. And then we spent the first 2 trips just completely gutting houses that were affected with the water. And then that third time I got to go down and, put up sheetrock, flooring, insulation. It was nice seeing all that, each trip it was getting a little bit better.
It's hard to be involved in something of that nature and not leave a different person.
It definitely gave me the perspective that I'm very fortunate where I'm at. I should be helping. If I can lend my skills of building, of just being present, I should be doing that.
What other type of volunteer work have you gotten involved in since then?
I've done some work with Habitat for Humanity. Most recently, I joined the peer supporter group. So when I saw that come out, I immediately jumped on it.
What drew you to it?
I've known people that have had some mental health issues, and over the years, family, friends, coworkers, they seem to naturally gravitate towards me and like to share things. So I figured, this seems like a great program for our colleagues that may not want to go to a doctor or schedule an appointment. And so far, I've had 5 colleagues that I've talked to, and the amount of help that's been given through this program has been amazing.
It's not a stretch for me to understand that because you've always had such a positive outlook on things. How do you maintain that, when you're faced sometimes with some pretty significant challenges, but yet you still have a very positive outlook and perspective?
times get tough, I do fall back to some classical music. Some Beethoven, Bach, two cellos. If you ever heard of that group, they play the same instrumental music, and it brings me out of whatever I'm in. I think the motto of mine is there's no reason to be, in that funk. Let's get positive and get moving.
Music does that for a lot of us.
Yes.
I think not just music, but the arts in general helps us to sort of
Absolutely.
reconnect and find that inner peace. So outside of work and volunteering, what do you do with your family? What do you guys do for fun?
So I have a 12-year-old daughter. She's getting ready to have her opening performance of High School Musical Junior. We've been working on that. She's super excited, loves her musical group. And then my son is 6 years old doing T-ball for the first time. So I've been helping coach that, and that's been great. Teaching these kids the basics and watching them have fun.
So I guess my last question, what advice would you give to others about supporting their community? Because clearly you do a lot for Virtua, for our community at large, and some of the other work that you've done with Catholic Charities. What advice would you give to some of our viewers that might be thinking about it, that may help push them, across the line?
I live in Magnolia, and we call ourselves 1 square mile of friendliness. And I think that's very important to have that sense of community. You want to go somewhere, you want to work somewhere that everybody's wants to be part of.
I think you're a great example of what it means to be here for good. And that's something that you should be proud of. When you're out in the community, how do you feel when you hear people talking about Virtua?
I feel a sense of pride when I hear that. My department personally, I've got somebody who just hit their 50-year mark.
Wow.
And I've got multiple guys that are 30 years. And I think Virtua is a place where people find a home and they don't want to leave because our sense of community is so strong.
Well, I think you are a great example of what that's about. And I thank you for spending time with me and sharing those stories. And I look forward to seeing you around.
Thank you very much.
As always, a great story from a great colleague. Tune in next time as we talk about more wonderful things that are happening inside and outside the Virtua community.